Hello, Unbroken here with a look at the LEGO Technic Cat D11 Bulldozer set number 4131. After building this set, I was honestly surprised by just how massive it is. It has so much pushing power and amazing off-road capabilities. So first of all, let's take a look at some of its functions. Of course, first of all, we do get the driving with these amazing new yellow tracks. Both of these tracks are connected to the V12 engine using a differential. You can access the engine by simply opening these panels over here, and then you can clearly see what's going on inside. Now I do have to mention, since it does use a differential, as soon as you have a stationary turn, like the left track is going forward while the right track is going backward, the engine will stop completely. By using the knob on the side right over here, we can actually tighten the tracks. And that's a really great feature because the front sprocket can extend really far. Theoretically, if you have a lot more of these new yellow tracks, you can make them much longer, and that's a really great feature in my opinion. One of the 4 motorized functions use a gearbox right over here. This motor is responsible for actually driving one of the 4 functions, whereas this motor switches the gearbox. The first function simply raises and lowers the blade. Now this function moves at a snail's pace. It is incredibly slow, and I think a good modification to make would be to change the gear ratios a little bit, so that way these actuators move faster. The second function is blade tilt. Now blade tilt moves at a reasonable pace, it's not super slow, so it is quite nice. Now of course you cannot control these functions simultaneously due to the gearbox, but I actually like the complexity of using mechanisms like gearboxes. On the back we do get the raising and lowering of the actual ripper. Unfortunately it cannot touch the ground, but by simply changing some attachment points of the ripper, you can definitely modify to go all the way down. Now these 2 top fake actuators don't actually do anything, so because of that, this set does not have blade tilt, it only has blade height adjustment. I will definitely be using some of my own linear actuators and modifying the set so that way it also has blade tilt. The 4th function is responsible for the deployable ladder, and that's a really great feature of the Bulldozer, although I do wish that the 4th function, instead of being used for the ladder, was used for the blade tilt, and perhaps make the deployable ladder a manually controlled function. The control interface itself is actually kind of complicated. Over on the right you do have the throttle setting, and by using the levers on the left you can steer the Bulldozer. Now I do have to demonstrate just how long you have to wait for one of the 4 functions to activate due to the gearbox. So for example, we set 1 right over here, and then we switch. We have to wait quite a while in order for the other function to activate, because the gearbox doesn't just switch the function immediately. It does take a good while since the driving motor moves in a special way, so that way the gearbox does not get jammed. That's actually kind of a good feature, although you do have to wait, since on the Volvo articulated hauler, the gearbox would sometimes get stuck, whereas on this one, that never happens. With the second control interface, we do have a joystick here on the left. It is a little bit easier to control, although what I'm going to do is simply use the Powered Up app to make my own custom control interface and simply have 2 proportional sliders on either side to control both of the tracks. The aesthetics of this set are pretty great. It captures the real-life D11 Bulldozer extremely well, and over on the cabin we do have openable doors as well as a nice turned seat that replicates the Bulldozer of real life, so that is a pretty good feature. And we also of course do have a sticker with all the controls, which is a nice little detail, and I did not expect this Bulldozer to look so good when I got it in hand. I think that LEGO designer Markus Kossmann did a fantastic job with this set in both designing the functions as well as the aesthetic of the set. The Bulldozer earns a perfect score in all 3 categories: authenticity, functionality, and challenging building. So what are the pros and cons of the set? Well, for the pros, we do have that amazing gearbox. Gearboxes in LEGO Technic sets are essential in my opinion, especially for such premium ones. When we do get functionality like this, it really is amazing. At the core of LEGO Technic are mechanisms or functions like pneumatics and linear actuators and all that good stuff. This set is just perfect in that regard. And speaking of functions, we also do have track tensioning, manually controlled track tensioning, that is really good. Also a feature found in the real-life Bulldozer, which is quite nice. And of course we do get those new pieces like the black linear actuators as well as the big yellow tracks. But what about the cons of the set? Well, for one, this set is overpriced. This set costs $450, and the LEGO Technic Liebherr R9800 excavator actually costs the exact same price of $450. That one has a little bit more pieces, as well as 7 motors and 2 hubs, whereas this one has only 4 motors and 1 hub, so you are getting a much better deal with the excavator in terms of purely price to electronics and parts ratio. I think this set would have been better if it were priced maybe between $350 and $400, something similar to maybe the Lamborghini, $380. That would have been a way more reasonable price than $450. Another con of the set is the lack of ripper tilt. I think that instead of having a motorized ladder, there should have been blade tilt in this set. Now, personally, I will definitely be modifying the set a little bit and maybe reroute the power from the ladder to the blade tilt. Overall, I think this set is pretty great. It has a lot of pushing power, and I like it way more than the excavator. It's definitely one set that's incredibly well engineered, and especially if you have experience working with real-life D11 bulldozers, you should definitely get this, maybe at a discounted price for between $350 and $400. If you would like to learn about the 5 reasons why the LEGO Technic Cat D11 bulldozer is better than the big excavator, then click on the video right over here. This is your Unbrick Me here, and I'll see you in the next one.